Paul, this is a matchup I've been waiting for because in qualifying, these are the two best cars, funny cars, on the track right now because based on consistency, these cars have been going down the track every time. Previous round, Robert Height ran a 407, got lane choice over Jack Beckman, who ran a 408. This should be a great matchup right here. Oh, look at that.
Got another pedal fest going here. And this time, John Forsythe, what it went on there. Jack Beckman, Don Schumacher Racing has the win.
How about that?
Wow.
Don, you never had a race car that went down the track like 5 or 6 times in a row and then smoked the tires, did you?
Oh, are you kidding? Of course I did.
But
we always blamed it on the track, though, because they didn't clean them up like they clean them up today, you know. And you could have actually hit a little oil spot. We always say, hit that oil spot.
Well, see, I was a hired driver, so I always got the blame. But you take another look at it. You know, it's not a huge surprise, even though they are as consistent as they were all weekend, and the track conditions obviously are not what they were in the first round, and they both just overpowered the racetrack.
Well, yeah, that's exactly what happened. Each guy figured the other one was going to step up just a little bit, so they better step up, and they both should have left them alone.
Yep.
And there'd have been no telling who would have won.
But I know you've never pushed it too hard.
Oh, of course not me.
Nobody does. Come on. And fine competitive spirit kicks right in there, doesn't it? In about everything you do, not just drag racing.
That's true.
Gary Gerald has Jack Beckman, sorry, G.
Yeah, that Bob's the dad, Jack's the
Yeah.
son, Jack's the driver, as it turns out. Watch this monitor here and tell us about that little pedal fest experience.
Oh, I had a way better seat than it's going to be here. You know, it made it pretty far through the shake zone, and then it lit him, pedaled it, and it wouldn't hook the tires up. I can't see him. I can't hear him. We've got rev limiters in these cars. We just wanted to get to the finish line first, and it looks to me like that Valvoline Dodge with Aaron's on the side did it that run.
I believe you're going on.
Yeah, this is a good feeling.
I like the fact they mentioned the rev limiters. Back in your day, the rev limiter was your right foot. But that being said, these new cars are so violent, you almost have to have a rev limiter on them.
Oh, yeah, they're terrible.
In a good way? I'll tell you, Mike Neff, though, we talked about consistency in race cars, and he was my pick as the one to watch because, I mean, this kid can not only, and I'm impressed because he's like you. He can tune the car and he can drive the car. He's got a tough task. Bob Tasca in the other lane has been the final the last 2 years, won this race 2 years ago. So, but Mike Neff, he's really looked good.
Well, a guy that can tune them and then drive them, he knows what the capability of his engine is and also what his limitations are, and that's a good thing.
Good
Mike
race to
Neff,
halftime.
there it is, 405 to a 419, 312 miles an hour from Mike Neff.
In the heat, everybody else is spinning the tires, and he goes down there and runs a 405. You think he's got a car that can win today?
Yes, he has.
Well, you just said it, though. When you're tuning it yourself, you got a little better feeling.
It was always my advantage because I tuned my engine and I drove it. For one thing, I didn't want to do anything to it, put the fire back in my face.
Right. Well, there's a point.
Yeah, Roland told me drivers were like spark plugs. You just screw them in and burn them out, right?
Very pretty run for Mike Neff. And look on the line. That's Courtney Force and Kurt Busch. Having a good time here. Let's look at the semifinal matchups for Funny Car. Matt Hagan, Cruz Pedregon. Cruz has the lane choice.
Got Mike Neff on the top
And Jack Beckman and Mike Neff. And Neff will have the lane choice. Now, Big Daddy, you've been involved in some other racing here this weekend. We just happened to have a little video of it. Tell us about this.
Oh, those electric dragsters?
Yeah.
Oh, my, there's something else, let me tell you.
This
35 miles an hour, but, you know, you got to get the reaction time and everything. There's all of the same things hold true that any other race. It's just like it takes forever.
You told me they were fooling with you a little bit yesterday, and you had to pay attention.
Yeah, in this run, they took all of 60 foot. He's ahead right there. See, right at the very end, it just barely pulled ahead. And my car had a much better 60 foot yesterday, and I said, Jerry, what happened? He says, oh, maybe something's wrong with the rheostat. Yeah, no kidding.
And once again, no competitive spirit there. Big, good to see you in the booth. Thank you very much. Congratulations on your drive around win, and always good to have the legend, Big Daddy Don Garlett. Song sung about this man.
Thank you so much.
You got it. Another classic matchup, Tony Schumacher and Larry Dixon. They're working away in the Alanabi pits right now. It's time for a Lincoln Tech Fix-It Pit Report. Here is John Kernan.
Well, Dale Worsham's team didn't like what they were hearing from the rear end of the car, so they've put a new one in. And Dale, getting ready for that matchup with Spencer Massey. Why change it out when you said you thought it was okay?
You know, after the Winter Nationals and we broke a rear end in the semifinals and the motor over revved, we're just gun shy over here. You know, everybody here at Alanabi Racing, we want to do really well, and we cannot afford a broken rear end right now. So, hey, better safe than sorry at this point.
What kind of noise was it making?
It just makes like a clutter, like a brrr kind of noise. And basically, I think the team.
What was that again?
Sounds like a boat.
Yeah, good. A new level in crew chief communication. Well, Spencer Massey's having a good time signing some autographs. He will face Del Worsham when they come back. Oh, look at this. Incredible slow motion. This camera can go up to 5,800 frames per second. Normal camera is 30. This is the iMoveX camera, and we've got it. And boy, it gives you some great stuff.
You can see the stagger and the wheelie bars there. That left one's not even touching the ground. The right one's just driving it. They do that to keep them cars launching straight.
Let's take a look at the Lucas Oil Ladder as we come to second round of Pro Stock. Roger Brogdon and Greg Stanfield to meet up. So will Jason Line and Eric Enders.
Other side of the ladder, Mike Edwards and Ron Krischer. And on the starting line now, it's Greg Anderson and Shane Gray. Greg has the lane choice, and pretty much all the Pro Stock guys, unlike the Fuel, like that right lane better.
I got to get this in. Greg Anderson is going to be 50 years old on Monday. 5-0. He doesn't look it. Doesn't act it.
No, he doesn't. Look at that reaction time, like a 20-year-old.
Yep. 0.01 for Greg Anderson, a 6:56 at the end of the quarter mile, 212 miles an hour. Greg Anderson moves into the semifinals.
Another look at the launch there. It was 10,000ths of a second after the light turned green. That's a 100th of a second. Greg Anderson was gone. Shane Gray was right behind. He's about 300ths of a second after the light turned green. And Pro Stock, you really don't want to give up that much advantage. 200ths of a second, that could be the difference between winning and losing.
So as Pro Stock continues, coming up, the #1 qualifier record holder, Roger Brogdon and Greg Stanfield. There is the other record holder. She has the national speed record, Erica Enders. And a reminder, as you look at Kurt Busch, Erica took him out already, that the NASCAR Nationwide Series will be in Bristol, Tennessee. Coverage begins 1 o'clock on Saturday on ESPN and ESPN HD. Well, NASCAR drivers and owners who have then come over, or at the same time sometimes, competed in NHRA.
Well, some of them got their start in NHRA, like Jack Roush and John Andretti, 93 in Top Fuel. I actually raced him. And how about Joe Gibbs? And then obviously Kurt Busch, who just, I think, did a really good job today. He's got nothing to hang his head about, because he just, for just jumping in that thing, it's not an easy thing to do.
Greg Stanfield. Hard to adjust to the colors this year. Brogdon, we've seen him so long in that blue. Now he's bright yellow. I told him that. He said adjust.
Almost dead even off the start.
Put it down for Roger Brogdon, a 6:53, 212 miles an hour to a losing 6:56.
I'll tell you, Roger keeps driving like that, and he could definitely get a win here in Gainesville.
Time for our Geico Tractionary, and it's about torque. What is it?
It's the tendency of a force to rotate an object about an axis, fulcrum, or pivot. Now take a look at the injector here on Bob Tasca's car. When he hits the throttle, it's going to lay that engine over the left, and that's the torque of that engine applying the horsepower to the rear wheels. About 6,000 foot-pounds of torque to produce just around 8,000 horsepower. And they've had torque meters on these before. On Doug Coletta's car, where they've seen as much as 10,000 horsepower during the course of the run, just for an instant.
Right there at the hit, huh?
It's actually in the middle of the racetrack when they start applying that clutch. Yeah, when they apply the clutch.
10,000 horsepower, half track. Man.
About 7,200 foot-pounds of torque at that point.
Eric Anders, Jason Line. Jason won the first race of the season at Pomona. Erica in a Cagnazzi car. Well, and things never change. KB car on the other side.
I like this matchup, though. These two pretty evenly prepared cars right now, and Jason with the lane choice. Like I said, everybody in Pro Stock likes that right lane. Dead even off the start.
Well, if they come off the line dead even, Jason Line shows you what he's got, 653, 212 miles an hour, and he has the win.
I tell you, coming off that Winter Nationals win, he looks good, like he may go win the first two races of the season if he keeps that up. Look at him carry that left front wheel through the gear changes there. Just a great shot, and I'll tell you what, it's Pro Stock, no tire shake at all right there, and a lot of times we see a little paddle from the tires, but Jason's making some nice passes.
That will bring up Ron Krischer, who finishes backing up, and Mike Edwards. Stat guy, little history lesson.
Think about this. When Mike Edwards became the first Pro Stock driver this past Friday to run in the 640s, that was the first time that happened in 39 years in the 4 professional classes. The last guy to achieve that feat was Sush Matsubara, driving this Vega funny car, one of Mike Dunn's favorite race cars. And I'd like to thank Kenny Youngblood, one of the great artists, for this beautiful drawing.
I mean, just think about that. 640 supercharged on fuel back then, and now we're 640s normally aspirated on gas.
But you know what, being an announcer guy, what I liked best about that was when Dave McClellan would say, Matsubara. I mean, he'd ring the track with it. Ron Krischer and Mike Edwards. Krischer, of course, uses Mike Edwards' power. Well, or maybe Edwards gave him the motor. Edwards never left the line. Ron Krischer has the win. What was that?
Well, I mean, it was a long tree. It took a while. That's what Clyde's talking about right there. I mean,
yeah.
That is unbelievable.
You take another look after they were staged, it was a very long light is what they said from the time they staged. Usually the computer will pick up and, oh, look at Ron almost red light, almost anticipated. He kind of bumped it a little bit, but didn't roll through the beams, which saved him right there.
So they both thought it was a little long, apparently.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they were both trying to react to that. And normally the Christmas tree after both cars stage is between 0.8 and 1.2 seconds. You'll see the amber lights come on.
All computer generated, though. Once Stewart hits the switch, the computer does the figuring. Yeah, that's what we were wondering. Well, some great matchups coming up in the semifinals of Pro Stock. Roger Brogdon, #1 qualifier, against our most recent winner, Jason Line. Ron Krischer will face Greg Anderson. Well, there's the Alanabi pits. Larry Dixon's car working away, got the blower set, ready to go back on top. They're working away because that's a Dixon and Schumacher matchup that's coming up when we go to Top Fuel semifinals.